Dear ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, good evening. It's my honor to moderate this conversation with our distinguished guests, the director of the film Eldorado, Markus Imhoof, and the president of Slovenska filantropije, Anico Mikuš Kos. My name is Mirjam Hladnik. I'm a researcher. I work at the Slovenian Migration Institute. And my main focus and research interest for many years have been the subjective experiences of all involved in migration process. Those who leave, those who stay, and those who welcome or unwelcome those who are coming. One of the main sources to understand, to grasp the subjective experiences, the emotional richness of migration are migrant letters, migrant correspondences. So for me, this documentary that we've just seen is a brilliant example of how to approach contemporary migration to understand it. First, to look deep into the history of migration of our countries, being it Switzerland, Slovenia, or European continent. All the answers to our questions are there. Who, how many, why, for what reasons, and for what costs. And second, to understand migration, we have to understand intimate, personal, very intimate individual life stories, family stories, the reasons why people do what they do, why they move. And all this in the context, what we've seen in the movie, of global, economical, ideological, political, and legal circumstances. So my first question for our two distinguished guests will be, of course, about personal, intimate, about memories, about their childhood. Both lived through the Second World War, Markus and Anica. And I would like to ask you what it meant for you to reveal your intimate memories, your love story to us, to global audience, to finally put it into a movie.
In the very beginning, it was, of course, for me the center of the film, but I was ashamed, or I wanted to protect it, and I didn't want it to show to the public. I thought maybe just to put two pictures of us in the beginning, and then tell about what we have seen of in our days. And when we came back from the sea, we had a discussion in Berlin in the office how we go on for shooting now. And I mentioned Giovanna and started to cry. So my friends said, what is it? And they grabbed more and deeper. And so slowly during the shooting, the story of Giovanna came into the film. And the first scene you have seen in the film is the last we have shot. I only then rediscovered the letters and my child drawings, which were in a box of my parents, which are no more. And so the more I was reading these letters, it was sure I have to put it in the film. But it is kind, I guess, it's invite the public to an emotional approach of what they see then in the Our Days story.
Anica, you dedicated your life to understand children, their experiences, traumatized children, refugees, migrant children, as well as others, of course. And I wonder how your experiences during the war contributed to your, not just decision, but understanding, because you've been working so far in many, many countries in the world, in very dire circumstances. What are your memories? What role play in your professional life, which of course can never be separated from our personal life? It's the same, of course.
First, I must say that my interest is not only in migration, but first of all, what stands behind the migrations, what are the causes of migrations, and what are the causes of lack of humanity of the receiving side. This is one thing. The other is, I am older than you. I was born in '35, so I lived the war, and not in Switzerland, but in a part of Yugoslavia with soldiers practically, because my family went with myself when I was 7 years old to join the partisan movement. My cousin was as a migrant in Switzerland. She was Jewish. Switzerland accepted them. I do not know how they succeeded to enter into your country. Yes, of course, what I survived and my experiences had certainly an influence on my work, probably also on the choice of my profession. I'm a child psychiatrist. But first of all, on my activation in the assistance of doing something with and for migrants during the Balkanian wars in 1990s. It's really a very strange story, very briefly. During the war, I lived in Croatia, in a village, and farmers from the village protected me. They said I was there, a member of the family, when Ustashi and the German came, the army, but I was a partisan child, and I was a Jewish child. And so they saved my life. And you know, these were persons who were not enthusiastic communists. Simply they were human persons. And then when I met the first refugees in 90s who came from Croatia, they were exactly from this village where I was during the war. It's a strange coincidence. And then suddenly I felt that I had to give back something, what I received. And so I became involved in helping refugees, children in areas affected by the war. So I understand very well why you made this film and your motives and the procedure, the mental procedure.
Markus, I imagine that it was very difficult to make this movie in a way. Can you explain just a bit? I mean, how did you get the permission? I mean, how was it possible to film? Did you ask them? Do they allow to be filmed? The refugees themselves, and then of course the Navy, the police forces. So the ghetto, we got a glimpse into the complications, of course, of filming in the ghetto with the union or worker. But anyway, a bit more about the filming.
It's people normally say you shouldn't film with children or with animals because it's too complicated, but with government it's much more complicated. And all the permissions, every step of the film, it took me 3 months or more to get the permission to the next stop and so on. And of course the most difficult was this mafia ghetto where you see they broke our camera just because when we have been filming from outside. And then there we went in with little spy cameras, and there we didn't want to show faces because these people living in the ghetto, they send other pictures on WhatsApp at home. They make a photo in Foggia in the village or somewhere, and they are ashamed that they live in the way they live. So in the beginning we try not to see faces, even if it was very difficult with a hidden camera to do this. And then we met this one guy, Aked from the Ivory Coast, and then we took him out and he became one of the protagonists. On the sea, of course, it was not possible to ask permission to sign a letter, somebody who is swimming in the water. And but the main, the important thing was to film them in a decent way, not as a voyeur, but to be the advocates of them and to testimony what is going on. And the more protagonists, of course, we had asked, but the others, I hope that they accept that I tried to defend them.
Children are most neglected part of migration. I mean, in this movie, we see a few babies. And only with your intimate story, with Giovanna, you bring a child perspective, a children perspective. Anica, you've been working all your professional life with children, traumatized children also because of migration. Can you tell us more about, from this perspective? What is migration for children? I use this opportunity because it is really rarely any talk about them, no matter how involved they are.
First, I would like to say that migration is not just trauma. Trauma is just a part of it. You know, we glorify trauma and we forget all the losses. The losses which are even most important than trauma. The loss of country, of loved persons, the loss of feelings that parents can't protect you, the loss in humanity simply. And I think this is really the most important. Secondly, I would like to say children are very vulnerable, but they have also a lot of internal forces and sometimes external support to overcome their experiences. If it would not be so, my generation of children in many regions, like Belarus or Poland, half of people would be crazy, psychiatric patients or suicidal or delinquents or whatever. But we have, you know, in the generation of my sons, there are no less, I would say, or more people with difficulties in my generation, which doesn't mean that there is no suffering. Suffering is something, but being disturbed is another side. And we have a tendency sometimes to present children as future person with mental disorders. It's very important to give them some external support, not psychiatrists and psychologists, but really an experience of goodness, an experience of kindness, a good experience which will provoke or make hope in humanity, in the future, in life.
It would be nice to conclude with this hope, but the situation now is you could not make a movie like this anymore. There is no Operation Mare Nostrum. There is no rescuing people from the sea, from the Mediterranean by Italian Navy. There is no gestures of welcome on board anymore. On the contrary. What would you say about, first of all, when you started the filming, the situation then? You mentioned to me today that you somehow knew the Balkan route, the refugee crisis, the disaster was coming on. What about now? I mean, so how can you compare the situation then and now, and what happened?
I'm desperate and angry what is going on now. The same soldiers and Marines on the boat are doing now the contrary, because the government has changed. They are pushing back the people, and they know that they are bringing them to the prison where you see what what happens in these prisons. And there are the same people I knew on the boat, and some of them have become friends. And so it disturbs me a lot that a soldier is not allowed to have an own opinion. And it's the most basic law on sea that somebody who is in danger, that you help. It's nothing to do with politics. Somebody in the water who is in danger to die, you help. That's the basic law on sea. And this is by government now. You shouldn't do it anymore. This crazy so-called minister asked for 5,000 euro punishment for every people you take out of the sea. Can you imagine the thing that you are punished for 5,000 euro if you're safe alive? And for me, it's a very crucial moment now before these elections that we can try to stop this. Because if we speak about our European values, and if you defend your values with cruelty, you have already lost these values. So this must be, I can't believe that the people in Italy or in Europe are so mean as is some politicians who are making propaganda against and with the theme of migration.
Anica, how would you compare the situation, for example, in 2014-15 with today's situation in Europe and in Slovenia nowadays?
Say I'm scared, not because of what is happening in Slovenia, but what is happening in Europe, in Africa, elsewhere. Really, I do not feel well. I am afraid, and of course, one always asks oneself, "What can I do?" The first answer is try to spread humanity and kindness and solidarity in your micro-environment, be kind with other people so you contribute in a way to the goodness of the humanity. But I think it is not enough really. I think such things as you do should be done. In a way, in public, it should be the dissatisfaction with what is going on should be expressed in public, in arts, in speeches. And really, I appreciate very much your courage, because you need courage to do it. And I think in the present situations, the only thing you can do is, beyond this intimate kindness, to try to express in public the danger of the present situation and the empowerment of forces which try to counterbalance or to stop the present development of the society.
On Friday, there was a press conference and the report on the pushbacks on Kolpa River, which is the border with Croatia, was presented to the public. This report was made by a social initiative or civic initiative called Info Kolpa, and they collected the testimonies of the migrants who tried or crossed the Kolpa River and were not allowed to ask for the asylum, were not granted any rights, but were pushed back and to Croatia, to Croatian police, and then returned to Bosnia and Herzegovina, to Velika Kladuša region. So the people who are doing this, for example, are showing one way of being active in this situation. What is here maybe to comment on is the argument during the Second World War that was mentioned in the speech by the ambassador, and is the title of your famous movie, The Boat is Full. So, I mean, when is the boat full? I mean, who calculate where are the numbers, where are the statistics, where we can really measure, okay, enough is enough? Because in Slovenia, we don't have that, like a real, you know, presentation of kind of a statistic saying, okay, we granted so many and many asylums, we have so many and many people, that is enough. I wonder how is the situation now in Switzerland? Neutral, humane, a rich country. In this situation, okay, it's not EU, but it is, you know, Schengen, it is part of EU in a way, though not, of course, in full membership. So, what is the situation now in Switzerland? Is it a role model?
I don't know the exact number of refugees or asylum seekers in Switzerland now. It's less than in the last years, and it's certainly not a danger to the people living in Switzerland. What bothers me most is that everybody, all the politicians know that the Dublin Treaty is not working. The Dublin Treaty meaning that you have to stay in the first country where you put your first foot on European earth. And they deal with every single boat landing after big problems in Italy. Who in Europe takes 12 or 7 or 5, and they find an ad hoc solution, and they are not able to find a new basic situation how they distribute. We know the Hungarian and Poland, they will not accept it, so let them be and die in incest, and find a solution for the others, and a solution working for the next years or for 1 year, and not to lose all this time to find an ad hoc situation to save 67 people on a boat waiting outside in the waves. And this is a lack of the governments in Europe.
This man who is sitting in his chair and is actually the official who approves the asylum. You know, in the movie he says with a smile and a bit of a laugh as well, I cannot remember, I really cannot remember that I granted, that I signed an asylum to an African in my career. I mean, it's such an innocent, simple sentence. but it's, I mean, it's like unbelievable. Of course, this is not his fault. I mean, he's not the creator of the policy and the legislation. He's just an official, and he cannot grant or sign an asylum because there is a legislation that is against it. Because, you know, apart from, he says Somalia or Eritrea, that's it. They are all safe countries, Nigeria and Guinea and so on. So, you see, it is simple to blame, you know, those people, I don't know, the soldiers who don't help in the Mediterranean, the officials who don't sign the papers. But actually it's structural problem. It's really structural violence or, you know, the situation where I really wonder what can we do? Because it's not about being good, because it is the situation you cannot do anything. So I mean the policemen on the Kolpa, on the Slovenian-Croatian border, you know, it's what they have to do. It's the instruction that they follow. It's not that they are bad. So how to address this structural problem, Anica? What can be done here? It's not about being good or being pro-migrant or being, you know, humane.
Unfortunately, I cannot give you an answer. I do not know, because, you know, the time of bloody revolutions is over. So we have to find some other solutions. But obviously, we do not know. We do not know. There are some trials to change the society by some new waves of relationship. But obviously it doesn't work, or at least it doesn't work on an important level. I don't know, sorry, I do not know.
It struck me, this sentence from the letters by Giovanna, you know, me and you, we live under the same stars, because it's so obvious we do not, right? You wanted to say something?
No, just if you are a democracy, we are responsible for what the policemen are doing. And maybe what the people who saved your life as a child have been disobedient. So maybe we must have the courage to be sometimes disobedient. And that's a very dangerous sentence to say.
Well, civic disobedience, yeah. That's a long history behind that, and we can be inspired by people who were disobedient before. At this point, I would like to give you the possibility for your comments and questions and contributions to the discussion, please.
Thank you very much for the movie and for the awareness raising, that you're helping all of us understand these stories and be aware of what's happening as we speak. Concerning the last question on what can we do, I think every person, even if he or she is an official or a policeman or a soldier or whoever, is a human being that can decide what he's going to think and what he's going to do. And this can help humanity. So awareness raising, what you are doing, can help both the policymakers to be aware of what their decisions mean, and on the other side also can help those people who are executing orders or instructions to give it a second thought how they will treat these people. So if there is a human rights-based approach, perhaps some lives can be saved, some destinies can be better than what we have seen So thank you very much for your work, both to Anica and to you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I would completely agree. So what we can do about the structural problems that are so serious, you know, it's to do something wherever we are, wherever we work with everyday decisions. Sometimes with disobedience, sometimes with just, you know, a different approach or, a try to do it differently. So, yeah.
My main problem is how can I reach the people who have another opinion? Because they don't want to listen, or they already know what it is, but they don't know the facts. So where are the right-wing people in the cinema? Or where can I go with I was in Dresden, for example, where all this right-wing movements started in Germany, and I asked the public where are they, and they proposed we should screen the film on the houses that if they are in the street, they must see it. But this is the most desperate situation. How can we reach the people who are not already doesn't agree? And it must be, if only we can catch 5, maybe it must be like a disease, a happy disease spreading. If you have an idea, let me know.
Yeah, well, yes, you are absolutely right. I think the majority or all persons who are sitting here are thinking in the same way as we do. Those who are not would not come to see this movie. But on the other side, you know, sometimes it is useful also to share your ideas with people who have the same ideas, because you strengthen in a way them. It is really motivating, sharing strength. I know myself when I go to work, I do not know, to Gaza or to Kurdistan or wherever, when I see people who are on the same line, I would say, or ethic or humanity, I come back really empowered in a way. I have more energy. So even being similar makes sense.
Maybe just one thing, I'm always happy showing the film to schools as well. Yes. Because in the school, the children are they go home and tell maybe what they have seen, and the parents have other opinions. So maybe there we can enter in the houses.
Yeah. Schools and, national TV. Yeah.
And on TV, yes, they can switch it off, but at least it comes to the kitchen.
Yes, please, the next one. Yeah.
Torej, jaz bom povedal po slovensko, pa boste vi prevedli, ker bom tako lažje. Meni se zdi seveda najbolj bistveno, da se prevzame neka osebna odgovornost, ki pravzaprav v današnjem času niti ni nevarna. Ker med drugo svetovno vojno, če je kdo Juda se reče, skrival in tako naprej, se je izpostavil v smrtni nevarnosti, ker je bilo takšno dejanje lahko za smrtjo. Danes te nevarnosti ni in smo pravzaprav neprimerno bolj razvajeni in bi lahko na nek način nekaj svojih dobrin ali česarkoli z nekom, ki je v stiski, delili. In ta osebna odgovornost se mi zdi za drugega človeka, ki je v stiski, se mi zdi seveda najbolj pomembna in bi bilo fajn, če bi se jo malo bolj zavedali.
Ja, v resnici ni nihče v smrtni nevarnosti in tudi v nobeni drugi nevarnosti ni. Ne? Nevarnost je samo pač naše udobno življenje. I'm sorry, I have to switch to English. Is it okay for you? So about personal responsibility, yes, we are in no danger. There is no Second World War around, right? What is in danger is our comfortable life, our good jobs, our way of living, you know, in Switzerland, in Slovenia, everywhere in Europe. So this is like in danger. It is not, I mean, like, you know, to feed another mouth, like in your movie, you know, yeah, there was no much bread and meat and other things, but it's not really impossible. Everybody survived, and on Friday during this, where the report was presented that I mentioned, they also distributed postcards, and one postcard has a man on it. The postcard says, "Greetings from the Balkan route." And in this postcard there is a man from Velika Kladuša who, when refugees got stuck in, you know, not being able to go to Croatia and then to Slovenia and being in Schengen, being in Europe, being in Eldorado, he opened for them his pizzeria for free. And so this is now free kitchen for refugees. And this man is on the postcard. This photo was taken in Velika Kladuša. He's holding a placard, a poster, with this handwriting message on it. Nobody died of hunger during the war, and he meant, of course, Bosnian War. And nobody will die of hunger now. So, yes, personal responsibility. Probably he was not fined for helping refugees and migrants, and he did it. And so, yes, of course, a lot can be done. It is just a question of, for us, are we willing to do anything? Please, the next.
May I just a short comment? Yes, I agree absolutely. Personal responsibility is important. But you know, when I hear the story about these cows and milk, really this makes me tremble I'm really scared, because this is a system, system which is in a way untouchable in present times.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a very interesting initiative in Switzerland called Company Responsibility Initiative, meaning that a Swiss company working abroad should have the same ethical and ecological standards that they have in Switzerland on the whole way where they are working. So you shouldn't let children work in the mines and poison the Congo, but you are responsible as if it would be in Switzerland. And of course, there is a big fight against this initiative, saying it's impossible, it costs too much. But this is a solution, because we are producing the causes of migration by our politics. It's not more a colonial army, it is just a business. So this is also linked to the people we vote and the companies we work in. So there is on different levels. You can give lessons in Slovenian language, or you can vote for another economic politic.
Any question and comment? Yeah?
Sorry to take the floor again. May I add something? I think a target group for your film are the officials in Brussels, in the European Commission, DG Trade, European External Service, etc. And maybe Switzerland can offer this movie to all the newcomers in the European Parliament and the policymakers, etc., because it really makes think. And as I said, it's a great awareness-raising movie on many, many issues.
I would love to go wherever you send me. I go.
Especially Brussels, right?
No, it's interesting. For example, the film I made about the honeybees. I was twice invited to Brussels to show the film and to discuss it. So what is possible for insects should be possible for men.
I have a question on actually your comment. Do you really think that awareness is enough? Do you think that through awareness we can reach what you're trying to reach, or that we can reach the people that you're trying to address? And do you think that people in Brussels are not aware of this problem? Because I think they are. I think they're just closing their eyes and looking the other way. So I don't think that the awareness is the problem at the moment. I think that that next step is actually what we should maybe be looking at. I don't know, what do you think?
I just can't believe that they would, after they have seen what really is happening, that they have the courage to say the things they say before. But you know, one of the most right-wing politicians in Switzerland lives with, who is very much against migrants. His wife is a refugee, Vietnamese refugee, and he has 3 children, which doesn't look very Swiss, but he is trying to protect Switzerland. So it's very, and the right-wing, one of the vice chief of AfD in Berlin, she is a lesbian living with a colored wife and is against gay marriage and against refugees. So I can't believe that they can live in this way, but I would like to shake them in a way. But the reality, I can't believe that they can close their eyes in front of reality, but they don't want to see it because they already know what. And it's not seeing it, not knowing it, it makes them, it's easier to be cruel. And what scares me is that we should be trained to accept cruelty. This is the most, in little steps we should be trained to accept what they do. Now I'm happy that this question of the 5,000 euro for every person saved maybe was a little bit too over the top and made reactions in Italy that people come out of the houses. I hope. I have no right to vote for the European elections, so I...
Any more comments or questions? Anica?
A suggestion. Let's terminate in a more optimistic way.
Please.
No, it's on you.
We will talk more outside with a glass of wine, water, or something else. And maybe we'll come up with more optimistic ideas. We have to find it, right? We cannot just conclude the evening with pessimism and without hope. But let's celebrate, this movie, our 2 distinguished guests' conversation, and the encouragement that actually, I agree, we do give each other when we are together and we share ideas and we share beliefs and the belief that we do live under the same stars. So thank you very much, and thank you, Anica and Markus.